We are now in question and answer. So if anybody has any questions for myself, Deanna, Roan, Chrystyna, Yolanda, Dr. Brayboy, or myself, Bryan, or myself, we'd be glad to take your questions at this time. Thank you for the question. To repeat, the question is what we would need to do as an Owyhee school community in order to bring in, recruit, and retain teachers into our community. So first off, people have to know about us. A lot of people don't know about our community. So this is an opportunity for us to introduce ourselves and that we are a part of the Nevada Department of Education. We are an Elko County School District school. All teachers in our building do need to meet certification requirements set forth by the state of Nevada. Our community is really unique, and if a person is looking to become intimately engaged in our community, we are 100 miles from anywhere, so people who come here get to know us very well. We do provide housing options, so besides our wonderful students and community, rent is $300 a month for apartments. So that is very enticing, especially with the cost of living. We have a signing bonus for teachers to come into our school. We also have opportunities for retired teachers to come out of retirement, continue to receive their PERS while receiving their full salary. So it's a great opportunity for teachers with a lot of education experience who are looking to maybe continue their teaching after being home for a little bit if they have that desire to continue to work and engage with kids. We welcome you here. The most exciting thing for us, though, and teachers that are currently here and for future teachers, is this new school. We have a groundbreaking on February 9th and about a 2-year timeline to build. So there's a tremendous opportunity for people to be involved with the building of a new school and be that new school staff who can make that space their own. So we're very excited about this opportunity to build and grow and create that 100-year school that has a lot of integrated cultural aspects, trilingual signage, cultural iconography throughout. It's a really great opportunity for people to be part of that from the beginning. Oh, go, yeah, please.
I think something that I feel is important to consider is that, because we do have Washoe, Shoshone, and Paiute within the state of Nevada, I think it's important to consider as well that not all of these are individual tribes, but dual tribes. As ourselves, for instance, we are both of the Shoshone and Paiute tribes, and so diversity within the two I feel is important. Again, back to colonialism, we have a sense of maybe animosity towards one another, maybe towards within the tribes themselves, within the communities, and somehow to bridge that gap I feel is important, because many of us, we are of maybe here in our valley, we are both Shoshone and Paiute. And so just teaching one of those tribal cultural things is, we need to include everybody so we are one. And so therefore we can show that appreciation for both. And I feel that's something to consider in our teaching as well.
I think
just to build off what
you're saying there is, I think what I would ask communities to do is stay curious, or members of communities ask questions, and find that place where it's hard to take that step to ask that question, and find the courage within that to do it anyway, right? To ask the people around, to find ways to ask those around us, what tribe are you from, or what part of the Nevada are you from, and what does that look like, and to be okay with not knowing everything. There's just so much to know, and I just have so much. I guess that's just me, right? I just have so much more to know, and so I just want those around to be open, to just embrace the diversity that we have in our state.
I don't kind of just, again, piggybacking off of the both of them, in my encounters outside of the Native American community, I think something that's most frustrating is that when saying I'm Native American or something of the such, it's not an individual tribe. It's like everyone, one culture, one language, one way of knowing, instead of like the Shoshone-Paiute way, or like the Bannock way, or the Nez Perce way. Like all of them are lumped in as one culture, one language, one everything. So when they're like Native American proverb, or in the Native American language, this means, like, everything just becomes so unindividual. It's just one. So I feel like if I were to want someone to know anything before coming here, or like just knowing anything about Native Americans, is like, it's not one. So.
As I'm listening, and I had this thought when Bryan was giving his presentation, the word Indian, is that okay? It is. It is okay. It is how we are known legally. It's how we're referred to in the Declaration of Independence. It's how we're referred to in modern governmental organizations. That word, Indios, and God, whether or not that's the true derivation of that word, we are Native people, we are indigenous, we are of various nations. I've been corrected to not call myself an Indian, but the United States government calls me an Indian. I go to the Indian Health Services. My tribal card, and the government works through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It is not, it's kind of like ticky-tacky, like, is it okay? It is okay. Toe used the term Native American. Some people use American Indian. I sometimes leave off the American part because we're pre-American. Some people say first American. We're not the first Americans. We're actually, I think 2024 is the 100th anniversary of the Snyder Act, which bestowed American citizenship on Native peoples so that they could be taxed. We were the last Americans by citizenship. By culture, as a people, as indigenous people, we are pre-American. So, but it's fine to say Indian, Native, Native American, indigenous, but if you do know their tribe, call them by their tribe. My friend Bryan's Lumbee.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit hesitant to suggest what Nevadans should know. So, but I think for anyone out in the world, wherever they are, I think a deep appreciation for history and larger questions of genealogy become really important. This Treaty of Ruby Valley is signed a year and more than a year ahead of statehood. And it is part of what made statehood possible to think even going further back. I think a deep appreciation of unique rights and unique status of indigenous peoples, of specific tribal peoples, to be able to do the things that they want on their lands, but even beyond that is really important. I just think that there's a lack of literacy in terms of understanding those and conflating American Indian, tribal nation members, etc., in as solely a racial group rather than a group that has been racialized but also has these deep legal and political genealogies that run through today. They didn't end with statehood, and they will continue in perpetuity until someone decides differently, but that's still in full effect.
To that end, I consider us to be like heirs, okay, shareholders. We're the legacy of those people who signed the paper. So if you are a descendant of a Rockefeller, you have that, lineal descent that entitles you to maybe a portion of that stake. For tribal people who've maintained citizenship, they also have rights to those things versus an individual who may have ancestry but didn't maintain their citizenship. That's like the Rockefeller who ran off and left. And the people who come back, they might still be cousins, but they don't have that legal right that goes with that political association. So going back on the racial designation versus political, we are dual citizens. I'm a dual citizen. And you are currently sitting in the country of Duck Valley. America is 20 miles south.
What would you be willing to share about how you cultivate joy and wellness and positive mental health among kids in your school that other parts of Nevada could learn from?
I'm going to go to Ms. Manning and Ms. Hernandez.
I'm still cultivating that answer.
Okay. So, well, for me, one of the things that I was taught by my grandparents, who I was raised by, was that so she would tell me, remember who you are, why you are. In today's society, of course, we are Native American people within a European society per se. So for me, when she would say something like that, it was, you've got to remember who you are. And so with this, I tell my students, we are Daminuanuma Nugidaibo, which would mean, I'm both Shoshone and Paiute. I'm not European, so I've got to embrace who I am and work with what I have in order to better understand my existence in life, and letting them know that, there's people throughout the world who speak different languages. The more languages you know, the more intelligent you are, because you are having to use both your left brain and your right brain, and so you utilize all of this together to do different things. And it'll help you with your math, your reading, all areas of academia. And so it's important to embrace what you have. Here in our valley, it's easy to do because we are, as Mrs. John, my daughter, had mentioned, we are 100 miles radius of any traffic light, railroad station, bank, fast food, major grocery store. So this is what helps us to maintain our identity here. In our valley, we can simply look out our window and we can say, hey, we've got groundhog on the rimrock. We've got deer in the mountains. We have antelope on the prairies. We've got trout and salmon in our rivers. Wild onions, wild potatoes on the foothills, berries. This is why Captain Sam put us here, because here we have everything. We have everything that we need to survive as a people. And so taking and utilizing what we have, that's where that joy comes from.
Okay, I was just trying to like think of the things. I don't like go out and intentionally like we're gonna have like a mindful minute or anything, but I think of like the relationships that the children build in my classroom, or like the relationships that I have with the students. And I bring in like for those who have stepped into my classroom this morning, like there's a lot in there. There's everything, and the kids are so fidgety, and what is this, and why do you have this, and what is this, and just I feel like just letting them explore that and understand whatever that is they want to interpret from that. And just sometimes they get goofy, they'll talk goofy to me, they say crazy things, and just accepting the fact that they're 16, they're 13, the fact that they don't know and they want to know. Even if they resist every assignment you give them, they kind of really do want to know. When we do some like the assignments I've shown you, other assignments, they will resist and they do give me a run for my money, but like at the end they do it, and sometimes they'll come up to me and give me that feedback. So like their curiosity is unknowingly what kind of like makes me happy, it makes them happy. And I feel like that's, like I don't do anything else intentionally. So
I would agree. I think for me too, it's about relationships and finding the extra moment to talk to a student about nothing or anything that's not academic based. That's, I see you got a new pair of shoes today. If a student is walking towards me with open arms, I'm going to make sure that I embrace that. If they need an extra minute to talk to me, I'm going to make sure that I make that time. So for me, that brings the joy in for me, and I think when I have that joy, it extends itself out to them, and they feel like they have a place where they can come and be who they are, whether it's really good for that day, or I'm having a bad day today. They can have bad days too. So embracing that, just embracing who they are, brings joy for everybody. Just, do we see each other, and does that matter?
One of the things I remind my students and listeners and people who I talk to is the future of my tribe is in this community. Every single kid in this building matters. And from this student population is our future chairperson, our future council. I'm the vice principal. Who among them will be the next vice principal? Ms. Hernandez is a teacher. Who is going to join her? We need doctors. We need tribal employees. We need people to work at the post office, and they're all in this building right now. So I think even though some of them are reluctant and they may not see it in themselves right now, they're all important to the future of this community, and not one of them is expendable. And so getting to know them, reminding them, and it's not just students that have those trying days, it's us too. And so reminding myself too that every single person in this building matters, and the relationships that you build and maintain. Our local community center is called the HDC, and that's where we host a lot of funerals. And I know that one day I will be in the HDC, and I hope that as people pass by, they know that I treated them respectfully and with integrity, and that they have taken a place within our community that I was part of. And hopefully that place is something that is a contributor to our community. We talk about larger society and everybody having a role, but it seems very like ethereal. Here it's very real. They graduate, they work for the tribe. I make my payments to kids who graduated from here just a couple of years ago. Every single person is important, so having that relationship and letting them know early on, I'm talking 8-year-olds, Are you going to be the next vice principal? Because I'm not going to be here forever, so get your education, come back and help, be part of us. And because, again, the future of my community is in this building.
It's not my school, it's not my place, but I'll just say to you that having been here is a remarkable experience. I think I really appreciate you all extending the invitation, but also having the session here, because what you see here is a deep nod to the future, a deep nod that everyone matters, that no one is expendable. Like, that is a huge, huge statement that I think we don't say often enough. We often treat people as if they are expendable, but the larger community whole matters. This is such a beautiful building. It's an old building, right, as we learned earlier, but the inside of it is just so remarkably gorgeous, because you realize it's been put together and managed and cared for by people that love this place and love the children in it. And so having great leaders and across the board and fantastic teachers really does matter. So I hope more people will get a chance to see the beautiful work happening here.
I have just a simple question. So once the new building is built, what will you do with this building?
So the question is, what is the future of this building? So this building, again, was built by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The deed was transferred to the Elko County School District for $5 in the 1950s, and then the district has added on to it and built other buildings. So now it's a complex of really about 15 structures, all of which are owned by the Elko County School District. The land is tribal land, and the tribe leases the land. So one of the issues that the district has to go through every once in a while is getting a lease from our tribe to continue. The tribe keeps that number really low, like in the $1 range, so that because the district provides a service to our community. But the buildings, again, are property of the district. So although I don't speak for the district, I have heard district representatives talk about transferring the buildings back to the tribe. And I have just a ton of ideas about what it could be, because it's still useful. It is still a very useful building. Some tribes have tribal colleges. It's already an established space. We could have teacher education programs here. We can have a CTE program that gives certificates in welding and auto mechanics. I also think because it's right off the highway, which makes it not great for a school, but makes it really great for a welcome center. People come through our community a lot, and they drive through, and there's no place to stop to learn about who we are. So to use the highway facing side of our building as one, it's the first bathroom you're going to see for 100 miles. That is super important. But to have some cultural displays, some educational displays, to have a bookstore, to use what are now the elementary classrooms as a co-op, and have some of our local artisans. As an isolated community, we learn to be very self-sufficient. People have, what was I going to call it? A side gig, a hustle. I sew skirts. I'm the vice principal of the school, but I sew skirts. They're hanging in the store. I sell them online. Everybody has a hustle. Some people are bakers. Some people do leather work. Some people do, all kinds of things, right? Beadwork. We could create a co-op on that end of the building so that when you stop coming in, you could use the bathroom, you could get a cold drink, you could learn some history, and then you can go into these spaces where we have local artisans who have put their work or are currently working, and you could have conversations and engage with them and learn a little bit about them as individuals and who we are as people. I just feel like there's so much opportunity left in this building. This building is very well loved. It really is. Despite all of its flaws, it has beautiful things about it that who knows what it'll be. But I think the possibilities are many.
I have nothing.
multicultural education to in-service teachers as part of the renewal requirements for the state of Nevada. I hope this is a fair question to ask. Annie asked us one time to summarize something in the form of a tweet. They're still called tweets. So if you could you summarize just the essence of what you would like me to take back to the classes that I teach? Maybe something kind of like a tweet. Tweetish. And again, maybe that's not a fair question because it takes a lot of, like, how do I take this big message and like squeeze it down to...
I have one.
Yeah, I have 4 pages. I'm trying to have you do the work.
Your students are the greatest people you'll ever meet.
I'm going to tell students that. It's a good way to introduce that topic in class.
I can't think of anything. Like, everything's so meaty. You gotta have the potatoes. I don't know. How do you? I can't think of anything. I feel like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna be like, that's what I should have said. That I feel like I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything on the spot.
And I'll have to say ditto to what Toe said. One of the things I feel is that, there's always going to be that one teacher that you'll always remember. Or sometimes I'll mention to my daughters, I'm in the store or somewhere else, oh gosh, they were my students. And she'll say, Mom, they were all your students. So, and Toe here just happens to be one of them. And so, I was sitting here, we were talking about some of the things that we had done back when I was her first grade teacher. And again, it was bringing the language into the classroom. Of course, it wasn't on the curriculum, but because something that I always did, so I brought it into the classroom. And, I had the students writing their numbers on feathers, and I just asked her about them. She said, oh yes, I still have those.
Yep. There's
So
they're hanging out with my doll, my Cabbage Patch.
So I think when we're teaching multicultural studies, again, the diversity that we all bring with us into the community, it doesn't matter who you are, what color of your skin, everyone has something to share, and there's so much that we can learn from each other. Yeah. And I think letting everyone know is that your individuality is much more as a whole. I think that that's important.
I had a Twitter account and I never tweeted. And so, 180 characters? The main thing I would like for people to know and maybe speak, when we talk about say their name, right? Say our name. Shoshone-Paiute and Washoe people are the ancestral people of what is now Nevada, and we are still here. That might be more than 180 characters, though.
I think it's up to 280 now, and some of these people have figured out how to do it. That's so great. History matters. The future is now. Know your place in all of its iterations. Find ways to manage and nourish relationships toward some larger end.
One of the things she's going to do right now is pray with the water. She didn't do that the first time, but part of our cultural practice is to pray over water. So that's what she's doing now.
I just want to say, Bija, you're a mano, yeah. It's an honor to be here and take part in this today. I want to thank all of you for coming here to our beautiful valley. And hopefully you can all take something back to help you in the education of our youth and each other as well. Yes, nina nemegwat yara mino yana ya tina tini choi pamawa kusi. Dami mai yes dami bishanem bisha shokwama ya hima ko dia ko vinyate bonishi sako hauni kuro hima bijaur hima oit hani noko onosat no in tituruam bijana memari teni choi nona onosako mano bishanem makarua hima iwa so hima sopia korana puna so urini choi noko oni jukwanya ya hino ya no ni keti piari pugubako bisa tamik puizo ai norwa ka haun nikroi iken me ti mahui wabe oi bisa ni de wara bai ka krowa ono sa hiti nana me ko haun nikroi ni voni nona sa ko bisa ni de wara bai ka o chese no in ma pua